The Man Who Didn't Smile, written by Stephanie Merkley. I met my neighbor, Mr. Richard, last year. He was all shiver like a dried apple. He was a grumpy like a crab. When I passed him working in his garden, I call out, "Hello, good morning." I smile and wave. How grouchy Mr. Richard didn't smile. He looked at me and then said, "Hello." I couldn't understand it. What did Mr. Richard have against me? He didn't even know me. When I got an idea, I would do something nice for Mr. Richard, that he would smile and be my friend. I ran in the kitchen and baked some cookies. I baked extra chocolate chips. I watched the cookies carefully while they're cooking. I want them to be perfect. The kitchen smelled delicious. I'll put the cookie into a box. When I tied the box with a big bow and then added a note that said, "To Mr. Richard," I was so excited. I ran over to Mr. Richard's house with the box. The sun was shining, and Mr. Richard was in his garden. He had a hoe in his hand, but he wasn't working. He was just standing in the sunshine looking at his plant. "Mr. Richard," I called breathless from my run, "I made something for you. Now you can be happy." I pushed the box into his hand. "What is it?" Mr. Richard asked. He didn't seem happy. His mouth still dropped in a frown. "It's a surprise. I made it for you," I gasped out. Mr. Richard opened the box with an old, tired hand. Then he found the cookies. I was ready for a big smile, the happy thanks, of the fun of having a new friend. But now it was my turn to be surprised. Mr. Richard didn't smile. He said, "Thanks. Please take these into the kitchen and give them to Mrs. Richard." Now I was mad. I had worked hard. I was trying to make Mr. Richard happy, but I didn't have working. "You're a grouchy old man. I bet you won't ever be happy." I yell as I ran up to Mr. Richard's house, "And I don't like you." I let the door slam behind me as I walked into Mr. Richard's house. Mrs. Richard was seated at the table. She could see the garden out of the window, and I think she'd been watching us. She smiled at me when I handed the box, and she exclaimed, "Oh, how sweet. Mr. Richard loved chocolate chips cookies." I knew Mrs. Richards was a friend, so I poured out my story. I tried to help Mr. Richard to be happy, and now I had failed. The tear flowed down my cheeks. There, Mrs. Richards said. Her voice was soft like a pillow. "You are young and there are many things you don't understand. Let me tell you about Mr. Richard." I explained that Mr. Richard used to smile all the time. He made everyone around smile too. He told jokes, he gave people surprise, and he loved to laugh. Then one day, Mr. Richard had a stroke. Talking became difficult for him. It was harder to remember. Something happened to the muscle in his face too. They stopped working, so Mr. Richard can't smile? I asked, finally understanding. "No, he can't smile, but he isn't really as grouchy as you may think. I bet you will still become very good friends, and I hope that you do," Mrs. Richard said, giving a hug. I went back to the garden to talk to Mr. Richard. My face was stained with tears, and my heart hurt when I thought about poor Mr. Richard. It would be so terrible to be never being able to smile. "Mr. Richard, I'm sorry for what I said," I blurted out. "I understand now that you can't smile." Mr. Richard was sitting on a bench in sunshine. "Come sit by me," he said. I went and sat by him. I felt the warm sun soak into my skin. It seemed to warm up my bones, and it felt warm all over. "Now listen here," Mr. Richard said, looking at me with a serious eye. "I can smile a lot, and I do. But Mrs. Richard said you had a stroke," and I tried to correct him. "A stroke? Yes, but I have my own way of smiling. See these flowers? Mr. Richard pointed at the bed of zinnias dancing in the breeze. I'm smiling at these flowers. I dance for joy with them. I'm a little reader. Mr. Richard pointed at a rose, which covered in pink rose. I'm smiling at the scent of the rose that is carried all over the garden. I was starting to understand. Mr. Richard expressed happiness through his plant, since he could express it through his face. Then Mr. Richard turned to me and pointed at my face, and this is my favorite way to smile. Your smile is for both of us. Don't ever forget I'm smiling with you. After that day, Mr. Richard was always my friend. I made him a lot of chocolate chips cookies, and he showed me how to take care of flowers and make them smile. Then winter came. Mr. Richard left the earth. I looked out my window at the frozen garden and cried. It was hard to lose a friend. But the spring came at last and saw a tiny shoot of life in Mr. Richard's garden. I watched them carefully. Each day they got taller and stronger. One morning they had a big yellow flower. They bowed at me as if to say, Mr. Richard is smiling today. And I smiled too.